Wow, what a crowd. G'day, everyone. Wow, an Aussie crowd too. Awesome. So thank you for coming along tonight. This is a really, really important thing. My name is Rob. I'm from the Bay 93.9 morning crew, but I'm also a local resident, and that's why I'm here this evening. I want to welcome you all along. My job is to keep things rolling and hopefully keep you guys nice and engaged. We've got some really well-educated and knowledgeable people up on the stage tonight. They're going to tell you some clear and undeniable facts, which at the moment we're not getting from the Victorian government or Transurban. They're going to tell Daniel Andrews, along with all of you, what we really think in the community of Wyndham about his plans to dump a dump in our backyard. Some of the things you'll hear tonight, you'll hear what's really in that tainted soil. We've got some interesting revelations for you there. You'll hear about the potential effects of this toxic plan on your families, your local economy, your home values. In fact, at this very moment, your home value is being impacted by this plan. And we're going to hear a whole lot more than Tim Pallas or Daniel Andrews is prepared to tell us. Before we kick things off, just wanted to let you know that my radio station, Bay 93.9 today, broke the news that the Victorian government, via DELP, made an approach 6 months ago to Melbourne Water to put this toxic soil on its land at the Werribee sewage plant. Does that sound like a temporary backup measure to you? No, neither with me. So, yeah. Now, I'm not one to get involved in politics as a rule. I'm a journalist and I try to sort of stay away from that, but I can't help myself. When they told me it was going to be next to Pizza Hut, that was it, I was in. Now I would like to introduce Judy Walsh from the Watton traditional owners of this land, who will perform the Welcome to Country. Judy.
Kunabamer, Norain Nerayak, Wadarangyak, Ba Gunjamarayak, Kimbani, Kulan Tublay, Benadok, Waring, Muraps, Kalkal, Yalambul, Tublay, Ba Benagath, Kilawa, Wanga Tublay. Kella Kelkobel, Ba Getawel, Nal Nichi, Kichijari, Kin, Garawa, Ba Nal. What I've said in my traditional language is, G'day, hello, how are you? My name's Judy. I am Wadarang Gunjamara. Here is Kulin country. I'm actually Wadarong, the other side of the Werribee River, so this is impacting on my traditional land that I have a big heart in. My grandfathers, mothers and ancestors walked this land, protected it. Now, wow, I ask you to speak quietly and speak together, and let's speak as family to save the land. I'd like to pay respects to any Aboriginal person that's in the audience, and I pay respects to your ancestors the same as I pay respects to mine and our future leaders. And I welcome everybody else here as well. And then I'm going to say Gubata, take care.
Thank you so much, Judy, and certainly a really great and solemn way to start the evening, and it just tells us the depth of attachment that so many of us from across the spectrum have to this, our land, our city, our home. Great to see all the little kids here tonight as well. It certainly has an impact on them. You are helping protect their futures. I'd like to introduce now our first key speaker. This man is currently the Mayor of Wyndham. Please welcome to our stage, Councillor Josh Gilligan.
Thanks, Rob. And in 2 weeks, look at this crowd. What an amazing turnout that we're seeing here tonight to send a strong and powerful message, and the message could not be any clearer. We will not accept this soil, this toxic soil that's from the Westgate Tunnel project in Wyndham Vale. Not now, not ever. I also want to pay my acknowledgement to the Watton people and any Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islanders that are here today. I also want to acknowledge my councillor colleagues, Councillor Khan, Councillor Marcus and Councillor Hooper, who have turned out here tonight, and the other councillor colleagues who are currently in the chamber at Wyndham City as part of our live council meeting. Also acknowledge, of course, the other special speakers that are here today. It was only a couple of weeks ago that we received a call from a journalist from Fairfax Media who told us in no uncertain terms that we were a subject site for this toxic soil. We were told that we would potentially receive up to 8,000 tonnes of this soil each and every day. A truck every 5 minutes going up and down the heart of our city. And you know what we said? We said on behalf of you as Wyndham City, we said never going to happen. And we said that because we know that we are a proud community, a close-knit community, a community that is working hard each and every day to build a livable city for our families, for our friends, for our neighbours. And when we see the insulting situation where we may be left with having to deal with this soil, we made it clear as a council that it's definitely not going to happen. So from here on, we'll continue that message loud and clear, not just here today. We'll be with you in the trenches each and every day following today, saying to the Victorian Government, to Transurban, you need to find another location. Because we know that when we take on the brunt of population growth, when it comes to propping up the state budget, we simply shouldn't then have to accept as part of that this toxic soil as well. We do our fair share for the state of Victoria. We certainly need to make sure that we don't cop this toxic soil, and I am saying on behalf of Wyndham City as your mayor, we will never accept this soil now and into the future in Wyndham. So once again, thank you for the work that you're doing, because when it's on your social media pages, when you're out speaking in your neighbourhoods, in your streets, continuing the message, it couldn't be any clearer. It couldn't be any louder than what it is now. And I am confident that if we continue this fight, we will get to a point, given we've got 3 tiers of government represented here today, that they will listen, they will change, and they will find a more appropriate location than the one that they're expecting us to take. Thank you so much for having me this evening. Good luck and all the best.
Thank you to our Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, the next lady who I'm going to bring up on stage is very well known to most of us. She was here 22 years ago when we took on the then Kennett government over his plans to give us our very own toxic dump. She was here 3 years ago, or nearly 3 years ago, for the fight over the prison that Tim Pallas wanted to dump down at Werribee South in the heart of our farmland and our tourism precinct. This lady is a hero of this community. I can say that without the least hesitation. Can we bring up on stage, please, from the Wyndham Community Activist Group, Lisa Heinrichs. By the way, you're going to see Lisa all over your TVs and hear her on the radio for a fair while to come while this battle continues. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. I'll tell you who the real stars are, and that's you guys for coming out. How good are you? You should be very proud of yourselves. Coming out to tell Dumping Dan and Transurban that Tim's toxic soil is not welcome in Wyndham. We call on the state government, the members of the Legislative Assembly, to adhere to the demands that will be put forward in our petition. We know that it has been Transurban's and the government's plan to dump this soil in Wyndham for a long time, with the news that Melbourne Water, the Western treatment plant, was approached by DWELP. How can we trust them when they say it's only temporary? We can't, exactly. They've kept this hidden since October, and I can guarantee you that if the Western treatment plant had said yes, we would know nothing about this at all. Thank you, Melbourne Water, for being on the side of the community that you play such a major part in. This here is the EES. It's a summary. The actual document's a lot bigger. In this EES clearly states, and I quote, the CEMP, Construction Environmental Management Plan, would identify suitably licensed facilities for the disposal of the potentially contaminated soil, and transportation of spoil, fill or construction materials would primarily occur on an identified route using the freeway or arterial road network. Spoil haulage vehicles would avoid using local roads. Well, guess what? You can't get to Bland Road without using local roads, passing our schools, our homes, our parks, our kindergartens. And I've lost my place. Sorry, guys. Why are the government trying to facilitate transurban dumping on us? Because they have failed to do due diligence at the time they proposed this. What more are they hiding with not releasing the reports of soil testing? We know that major polluters operated in the inner west for decades. Old quarries filled with asbestos, arsenic, mercury and lead. We, the United Proud community of Wyndham, will not allow this. Hear us, Daniel Andrews and Tim Pallas. Hear us, Scott Charlton and Transurban. It's not welcome in Wyndham. No toxic soil.
Thank you, Lisa. Lisa's a great friend of mine, and I'm proud to say that she's also what I define as a true local hero. Now, some of us are not big fans of politicians. Some people just don't like them. They don't trust them. They don't think they're honest. They don't think they're terribly courageous. But tonight we've got someone who I think is an extremely courageous politician. This is a lady who has actually gone up against her own party because she cares about this community. That's pretty obvious. If you've heard her on interviews on 3RW and on ABC, she'll be on our radio station tomorrow, you'll know exactly what I mean. You probably know who I'm talking about. Please welcome Joanne Ryan, the federal member for Layla.
G'day. I don't know, I'm just completely overwhelmed by the number of people who've come out this evening, but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised for one moment, because Transurban, with their market-led project, that means they took it to government and said, we can do this. They are responsible for the decision-making in this process. Make no mistake, they have woken the giant that is the city of Wyndham. And I know that I speak of, looking here, I can see so many familiar faces. Many familiar faces, because we've fought this fight before and we've done it together before. And I can see you all out there. I was out earlier and I can see a no toxic dump hat here and there, an old badge coming forward. The fight's a little different, but the object's the same. The objective is to send the strongest message that we can as a local community, that we will not be taken for granted, that we will not allow shortcuts to be taken in what should be a carefully considered plan with our environment and our health at the centre of that plan. So we need, from tonight going forward, to talk to our neighbours, to make sure that we're giving the kind of support that we need to give to the fabulous community committee that has been formed to lead this fight. I take my hat off to Lisa, and every time you say one Lisa, you have to say the other. To Lisa, for the work that they've done across the last few weeks, but also for pulling together a fabulous committee that I know knows how to lead. Now, there are those here who will remember the fight from the 90s. Lots of you. Go on, give us a wave. Surprise, surprise. So I know that we left a recipe. We left a recipe imprinted in people's minds about how you do this, how you come together as a community, how you spread the word. Now, we've got speakers tonight that are all going to come up. And the reason you're listening to so many speakers is because every single person who comes up here is going to give you a reason for why you should fight. They're going to help us understand the details of why we should fight. Because every single one of you becomes a voice in this fight. So make sure tonight before you leave that you've signed the petition. I'll be here standing with my community like I always do. A big slap for Rob. When a politician meets a journalist, you never expect the truth. I'm not at odds with anybody. I'm standing with my community. I want everybody here to really clearly understand that. That's my job. I'm a local member. I'm a local member first. I'm in the federal parliament because you put me there. So I'll stand beside you and we will win this. Transurban will move it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Very courageous politician, as I said. Respect to Joanne. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you'll notice scattered through the crowd this evening are some of my colleagues from the media, particularly TV cameras. We're also streaming this event live. I think we should give them something. You can see the guys just down there. I think we should give them something to take back to their newsroom. So can I get you guys to turn your signs around, get up, face the camera guys here. Let's get a bit of a chant going to let them know what we think. No toxic dump. Punch the air. Punch the air. No toxic dump. 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 Brilliant. How's that, guys? Is that enough? Yeah? You all got it? Awesome. Okay. Next person, thank you very much everyone for doing that. That was awesome. Next person we'd like to bring up on stage is a lady by the name, you may or may not know her name is Morley Muse. She's an environmental engineer. I told you we're going to have people who've got a lot of knowledge tonight. She is a doctorate researcher at Victoria University. This is one very smart lady. Her research specialises on wastewater treatment and microalgae degradation, and we all know what that is. Yeah, I do, I'm just not saying. She studied at the University of Nottingham and holds a Master's from the University of South Wales in the UK. She's currently a Director on the Board for Women in STEM Australia and an Ambassador for CSIRO's Innovation Catalyst Global. Please welcome up here Ms. Morley Muse.
Thank you everyone for coming out today. We've all come out en masse because we care about our community. We care about our environment. I'm Morley Muse. I'm an environmental research engineer at Victoria University. What exactly is this toxic soil? What is PFAS? The toxic soil in question is made up of substance called PFAS, which is per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances. They are man-made chemicals that take a very long time to decompose in the environment. So why should we as a community be concerned about this waste? PFAS can not only pollute our land, making the soil unfit for our animals to graze on, meaning the food we eat would be polluted. It also makes the land unfit for plants. In addition to that, it pollutes our rivers, making our aquatic life unfit for consumption. On top of that, it affects our groundwater, making the very water that we drink polluted, so we do not want it here. Now, as a community, why should we be concerned about this dump at our very own backyard? Studies have shown that PFAS takes 2 to 9 years to decompose by half in the body, and over 80 years to get rid from the environment. Now, despite this high level of exposure, there is no detailed investigation report that has been given to local residents about the current levels of PFAS. Joanne mentioned earlier about the Cook Island fire outbreak that happened in the 90s. From the research that I conducted regarding this waste, it should be noted that the major ingredient used in putting out the fire of the 90s was PFAS, meaning we still have it. 1991 up until date is just a couple of decades, meaning we still have current levels of PFAS in our soil. And on top of that, they want to dump more of this in our soil. In 2019, the EPA conducted some studies of PFAS in certain different communities around Victoria, including Melbourne, Geelong, Ballarat, Bendigo, and Latrobe Valley. It is sad to note that Werribee, Wyndham, which has been chosen to be the dumping site, has no reports yet. So at the moment, we don't even know how much toxicness we have in our soil. What is most interesting about this is that this dump is 70 meters away from local residents, you and I. It's not just going to pollute the Werribee River because it's very close to the river. It also means that the most vulnerable people in our community are children, the elderly, people with autoimmune diseases, pregnant women, and breastfeeding mothers would be the most affected from this. In Wyndham, according to ABS statistics, we have 24.8% of our population under the age of 14, and we have 7.5% over the age of 65. That's a large population that would be affected by this. So I want to urge every one of you to stop, think. 80 years, temporary dump. It doesn't add up to me. It shouldn't add up to you. It's not welcome in Wyndham. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Morley. Ladies and gentlemen, we've already acknowledged Joanne Ryan, who's here tonight. We have another politician who is also getting ready to speak shortly. I wanted to recognise those other politicians. It's such a crucial issue for our area. So those politicians who are here doing the right thing and standing up for their community: Tim Pallas, Sarah Connolly, Jill Hennessy. Can I just, where are you guys? Put your hand. Oh, not here. Must have been something more important. Never mind. The next bloke, oh, they got invited. Don't worry about that. The next bloke I'm going to bring up on stage is a local GP, really popular fella. He's also from the Werribee South Ratepayers, and more importantly than all of that, he recently won Wyndham's Dancing with the Stars. So, can I welcome up onto the stage the sexy, fleet of foot, rhythmic curves of Dr. Joe Garra.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks to the Wyndham Community Activist Group for inviting me to talk tonight, and thanks to all of you for coming. 3 years ago, when I was over there, I didn't think I'd be talking at another rally to stop another stupid government idea. We now have transurban needing somewhere to dump toxic soil, and we've got a government who's desperate to get tunnelling to start again, trying to find a site for them. Now, we've just heard from Morley about PFAS. Now, interestingly, the science is still evolving. The soil levels that are considered dangerous have just been made stricter, and we know it takes decades for it to get out of our bodies. Now, in the US, their EPA is a lot stricter. They've done animal studies, and they've shown links to cancer, immune deficiency, thyroid problems, and low growth in babies. We also know that the CFA volunteers at Fiskville, which were opposed to PFAS, have had an increased number of cancers. So the government's trying to tell us, oh, it's only low level in the soil, it won't cause any harm. Well, if it's harmless, why are they having so much trouble getting rid of the shit? Now, for one, I don't believe that Wyndham Vale's a temporary emergency site. It makes no sense to double-handle toxic soil. I mean, the only access is via a terrible Bolan road, which the government has delayed for years in duplicating. It's going near houses, and if containment measures don't work, you're going to have this toxic soil blowing around in the atmosphere near houses. Now, on November last year, the Age reported that there was asbestos found in this soil. Now, that's a huge problem. One fibre can cause issues. You can get asbestosis, which causes you debilitating lung disease, leaving you on oxygen. It can also cause mesothelioma, which is an incurable cancer of the lining of the lung. Now, the government's telling us, oh, don't worry, we'll transport the soil covered, we'll wet it, and when we put it in Wyndham Vale, we'll build earth walls around it to contain it. Now, what's that going to do to the soil underneath where they're leaving it? That's going to contaminate that soil. And to me, it seems a very expensive way to move soil for a temporary site. They've now said it'll take up to 21 days of soil. So 3 weeks of trucks delivering soil, that takes a huge pile of soil there to us. Now, what really upsets me is the lack of caring by the government. The health minister was asked in Parliament, what are the health risks for the community? And all she did was push it aside and said, oh, I'll let the Environment Minister handle that. Now, to quote the Shadow Health Minister, it is neglectful that Andrews and Mikakos have no understanding of any potential health risks by dumping this toxic soil into a growing, thriving community. It's just not on. Now, in my role as Werribee South Ratepayers Chair, the proposed site, for people who don't know, it's actually upstream from the Southern Rural Water Diversion Weir. That weir is just near the Italian Social Club. Now, that is where the channel that takes water to Werribee South comes off. So our hard-working farmers, they rely on clean river water for their crops. The only other water they get is rainwater, and they've got access to very salty recycled water. Now, Werribee South's got 3,000 hectares of farms and employs almost 1,000 people, and it's a multi-million-dollar business down there. It supplies 85% of our cauliflower and significant amounts of broccoli and lettuce. Now, just imagine if that toxic soil leaked into the river. And that means that stuff is then going to be sprayed on the produce and on the farms down at Werribee South. It makes no sense. Our population's growing and the government wants to risk an important food supply for us. So where are we going to get the food from then? What, import it from overseas? You've got to be kidding. Now, I've had legal advice that if the river gets contaminated, we can start a class action for a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit against the government. We cannot let them ruin a very important food source for our nation. And I can't believe Victoria's over 200,000 square kilometres. Now they're kidding us that's the most appropriate site to put the soil. Now I've also asked our water minister about this issue, and so far no reply. Last week, the Emergency Services Minister, Lisa Neville, said to firefighters, oh, we found PFAS around your fire stations. Don't eat anything that you grow around there. It could be dangerous. Now, who's the water minister? It's actually the same person. It's Lisa Neville. So 1 week she's telling firefighters, don't eat the veggies that you grow around the station, and she won't tell us anything about what the water might do to our vegetables down at Werribee South. So basically, we've got a government that doesn't care about the health of the people, the health of the river, and the health of our vegetables. Now, this is a fight we have to win. Now, we are up against international companies and a very arrogant state government. So it's up to us to get together and fight this. Now, to finish off, I have to borrow a quote from Teddy Whitten, and we're going to stick it right up them. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the dancing doctor, Joe Garra, and the first doctor I've ever heard say shit. Wow, okay. Now, as you can see, we've got Channel 10 up here. We're going to give him another little bit of Werribee action. So I'm just looking around at the signs here. I'm trying to pick out something that's going to be a little different. What about Palace Soils Wyndham? Can we get a chant going? Palace Soils Wyndham. And a fist in the air and the whole, everything looks really cool. Okay. Palace Soils Wyndham.
Palace Soils Wyndham. Palace Soils Wyndham. Palace Soils Wyndham. Palace Soils Wyndham. Palace Soils Wyndham. Palace Soils Wyndham. Palace Soils Wyndham.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And one more. We're going to do one more. Let's go dump palace, not soil. That's another one over there that I like. So feel free to stand up and do this. That's really convincing. Dump palace, not soil.
Dump palace, not soil. Dump palace, not soil. Dump palace, not soil. Dump palace, not soil. Dump palace, not soil. Dump palace, not soil. Dump palace, not soil. Dump palace, not soil. Dump palace, not soil.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. And I tell you what, the only people smiling more at that than the TV guys is Bernie Finn down here. He's going to be up in a moment. But first, I don't know whether you guys knew this. Did you know we have our own river keeper? Who keeps a river? How do you fit it in your backyard? There's only 3 professional river keepers in Victoria, and I only found that out last week. One of them is a gentleman by the name of John Forrester, and he's here tonight. John.
Hi everyone, I just want you to cast your minds back to many years ago. I was a first year uni student and I hitchhiked one night from Melbourne to Geelong and got dropped off at the Maltby bypass corner out there at Hoppers. I soon picked up the smell of the open sewer that was left after they built the Maltby bypass. And that was the first time I'd run into a story where a good government had built something useful for the community, but they forgot about the community in which they put it. So that's the story of what's happening again and the subject of what we're doing tonight. In about 1993, I'd settled well into Werribee with my family and I became a member of the Werribee River Association, and we began to look at impacts of the river, by development around the place on the river, and so it was quite a natural fit for us to take part in the 97 toxic dump issue because we were worried more than just the water but about the background chemical count. And in 2003, we began submitting thoughts to various government initiatives, papers and the like, and particularly securing our water future, which was a pretty big first-time water initiative in Victoria, a great thing by the then government. I think it was the Bracks government from memory. And we espoused that as a great thing because they were pushing healthy rivers as being vital for future generations, which is one of the reasons I got involved in the water business, so to speak, or the social organisation such as the Werribee River Association. We are working for the future of our kids and our town. We commented at the time to the regional catchment strategy, which has been published a few times now by the Port Phillip and Western Port Catchment Management Authority, and we said to them that government and authorities should act genuinely on the community's opinions. And so it's interesting to listen to these next few comments as I go on. And by 2015, the Werribee River Association was on its way working for water, for human and waterway health. So it became obvious to us that we weren't just looking after wildlife and the platypus, which do have bioaccumulated levels of PFAS in them and other metals, and we are doing some pollution mapping currently with our scientist officer and a few others, and we are finding things of worry in the river. We were well on our way for that work, and our first vision of our first strategic plan was that the Werribee River should be in a state of excellent environmental health, providing health-giving benefits and pride to the community. And we still run a Pride in the Werribee River program today. Over the years, we have worked with probably thousands of school students. I was saying to someone tonight when I took a walk with the local guides that our platypus, which was died because of some litter around its neck, has been seen by over 12,500 kids. So that gives you an indication of the number of kids we've worked with. And to a person, those kids want this vision, which we came up with last year for them. They want to be able to play and interact safely with nature, relax or eat outdoors, and not worry about pollution or litter. Now, last week, just as a bit of a reflection on all of this, I read the desired outcomes from the State Government of Victoria's Engage Victoria website platform. And it said, people know their views have been listened to and used by government, and government values engagement and uses it to inform decisions. And this week, just this week, I got onto Transurban's website and I read, we set high standards for our performance on social and environmental issues, and we invest in both to create social inclusion and to manage our environmental impacts. Now, getting towards the end, I think Rob's getting a bit nervous here. We all know state government and Transurban were told that they were facing some worries in the tunnel, and our conclusion is that they haven't been listening to their own reports, not making good decisions and not managing it well. And someone forgot to consider the wider community aspects like they didn't on the Maltby bypass all those years ago. And we're reminding them tonight that our waterways are important for our health, well-being and wildlife, and they don't need contamination, they need support and they need good investment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Hey, I've got to ask, John, before you walk away, I noticed John was just talking about, I don't know, in there somewhere he mentioned the Girl Guides. And did you guys see this? I'm standing here and he goes, the Girl Guides, and looks at me. I didn't do anything. Just want to put that out there. Okay, Stephen Walsh is from the ACTU National Indigenous Committee. He's a recognised elder of many Aboriginal tribes across Victoria. He's on the board of the Tallangarung Aboriginal Corporation, and I hope I got that right. Pretty good, he gave me a wink. He was born in Gippsland with traditional Aboriginal connections to the Tongarunga and Gunna? He'll tell you. Tribes, married to what a Warrung woman, Judy, and has been around within their tribe and accepted into their tribe and land. And tonight he's going to give you another unique look from his perspective. Please welcome to the stage, Stephen Walsh.
Gabimil, Wawa, greetings and hello. I'm actually here to talk about the effects in terms of what's happening here in Wyndham. I came here 17 years ago along with my wife and we built a house in Wyndham. Now we're very strong Aboriginal people connected to a number of places throughout Victoria, but we're particularly connected to places that we like to live. And Wyndham Vale has a lot of cultural heritage history, same as Werribee. But the heritage is very important to us as community, and it's very important to the future of our communities. And the the heritage, particularly of Aboriginal heritage, that has actually been recognised since 2006, that the state government went in, consulted with Aboriginal communities throughout Victoria to develop the Act of 2006 for cultural heritage. If toxic dumping is going to be a item in which this government wants to actually undertake, and it's going to impact on our cultural heritage, it's going to impact a lot more further than that. It's going to impact on the Aboriginal people. It's going to break promises. It's not going to actually align with what we actually wanted to do. We wanted to protect culture. And it's not just Aboriginal culture, it's your culture. Since your settlements here in this district has been about what your children are going to be growing up with, but also what you grew up with. If you are local, if you've lived here all your life, you've got to understand about what your history is here. And so we as Aboriginal people have over 40,000 years of history in Australia, and which includes these sort of areas. And if you have not seen any cultural heritage items that has been found in this area, since the actual making of the Geelong and Melbourne Rail, there was consultations. Have a look up at the Wyndham Vale station of what is actually what is up there. Aboriginal heritage information, but there's also artefacts which has been left by the traditional owners of the Wattarong people. I am Tanarong. I'm not a member of the Wattarong, but I'm married to a Wattarong woman. And I respect all Aboriginal people throughout Victoria, no matter what tribes they come from, as much as other non-Aboriginal people also respect our culture because they're learning from us. And I hope that you can actually take forward to this. And I just want to finish off with my tongue for you, is saying, Dindi Warrigal, Gutting Nuggle, Dillaby Jeering. All best in our fight.
Good on you, Stephen. Thank you so much. Thank you, folks, for bearing with us and for your resilience. We are moving through it. This is such an important fight. There's so many important things to say. The next man I'm going to bring up is a Kiwi, but that's not a bad thing. This bloke immigrated or fled to Australia 3 years after the underarm bowling incident. He's a former research director at the Werribee Animal Research Institute, a former professor at Vic Uni, and of course served on Wyndham Council for 11 years, including one term as mayor, and is an active member of several community organisations, including the Point Cook Action Group. Please welcome Bob Fairclough.
Thank you, Brian, and welcome everyone. I would like to start by stating that our community in Wyndham has much to be proud of. And what better way to show our pride by coming along to this event tonight to show you support for the no toxic soil in Wyndham. And I'd just like to also welcome the distinguished guests that we have here today, and also everyone that's come along to this event tonight. In my talk this evening, I am representing the view of the local community who have indicated in no uncertain terms that it is unacceptable to have the toxic soil dumped in Wyndham, even on a temporary basis. No toxic soil dumped in Werribee. In order to illustrate my talk tonight, I would just like to reflect on the fact that the changes are taking place in Wyndham. And the biggest change, of course, is the number of people coming into Werribee each year. The figures I've got, there's around 16,000 people coming here per annum over the last 5 years. This huge increase in the population is no accident, as we know that the decision by residents to settle here in Wyndham is influenced by a number of factors. These include affordable housing, but also the widely accepted view that Wyndham is considered to be a great place to live and to raise a family. Also, information has been published from the resident satisfaction survey that have shown that residents in Wyndham rank environmental conservation more importantly than the Melbourne average. That means we really are concerned as a community about our environment. However, make no mistake, these attributes will be in jeopardy if the toxic soil deposited in Wyndham is even as a temporary measure. The toxic soil dump would negate the view of residents that Wyndham is a great place to live, work and raise a family. As mentioned by various speakers, a number of toxins have been found in the toxic soil, including the carcinogen PFAS. I won't be that wrong. This plan to develop the toxic toxins in Wyndham raises real concerns in our community that will be no longer considered to be a safe and healthy place to live. An alarming prospect. Thank you for your time and for attending this function tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, a man with a long history of serving his community. Behind me on my left is a gentleman by the name of Bernie Finn. He's a member of the Victorian Legislative Council and certainly not a man afraid to speak his mind. He represents the Western Metropolitan region and he formerly worked in radio, by the way, so can't be all bad. He was elected to Parliament in 1992. That means he celebrates 28 years in October. So please welcome Bernie Finn.
Thank you, Rob. Ladies and gentlemen, what a crowd. Congratulations. We always know when there's a fight on in Werribee, the people of Werribee will rise up and they will join in that fight. And it's happening again. It's happening again. Congratulations. Congratulations to you all. I have been asking now for 3 weeks in Parliament, what the hell is going on here? I have been asking the Premier, I have been asking the Minister for the Environment, I have been asking the Minister for Health. They won't tell me. They won't tell me. Now, why might they not want to tell me? More importantly, why don't they want to tell you what is going on with this toxic soil? Well, tomorrow we find out. Tomorrow we find out. Because tomorrow morning at around 10 a.m, I'm going to rise in my place in the Legislative Council and I'm going to move that this House opposes any decision by the Andrews Labor government or its agencies to dump toxic soil from the Westgate Tunnel project into the Wyndham Vale rail stabling yard as it is situated close to houses, local community infrastructure and the Werribee River. Now I know a good many of you people will be working tomorrow, but I would really love tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. when I utter those words to look up into the public gallery and see the place full of people from Wyndham. To see the place full of people from Wyndham saying, leave us alone. We do not want your stinking soil. And you know, it's quite extraordinary. I asked the Minister for the Environment 2 weeks ago, what exactly is in this soil? Now, I've heard that carcinogens are in this soil. I have heard that asbestos is in this soil. I have heard, as we've heard tonight, that PFAS is in this soil. 2 weeks ago, I asked the Environment Minister, tell me and tell the people of Wyndham what is in the soil. Guess what she said? Nothing. That's what she said, absolutely nothing. And I hear, quite extraordinarily, that Tim Pallas, the member who is alleged to represent this area in State Parliament, he actually put his hand up and said, yes, you can put it here. When they were looking for a place, he said, you can put it here. Now, fair dinkum, if I'd done that as a Member of Parliament to my community, I would be too ashamed to show my face in public again. Ever again. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a most important fight. This is a fight that we all must win. We all must win. I can assure you that I will be again in Parliament tomorrow fighting for you to stop this stuff being dumped here in Wyndham. I can assure you that I will be fighting every day that the Parliament sits and beyond to ensure that Wyndham is safe for future generations to live without this toxic crap in our soil. We do not want it, we do not need it, and you do not deserve it, let me assure you. Ladies and gentlemen, keep up the fight and we will win.
Thank you so much, Bernie. It's always a good thing to have a union on your side when you're in a fight like this. We know unions know how to take on a battle, don't we? The next gentleman is from the Rail, Tram and Bus Union. His name is Vic Sharma. He's a community activist and says he's passionate about Wyndham, as we all are. He's been in the rail industry for the last 6 years, and as we know, this proposed site is right beside the Geelong to Werribee and Melbourne railway line. He's worked at the RTBU as an industrial officer and an organiser since last year, but by the way, he's got just a casual law degree as well. Please welcome Vic.
It's getting a bit cold. We shouldn't be here today. We should be home with our families, our friends, sharing a meal or a laugh. But the Victorian government, the government we elected, they've left us with no other choice than to come out here today and to express our frustration and anger. Our backyard is not a toxic waste dump, and our community is responding accordingly. Asbestos has been a known hazard for decades, a threat to not only our health but our way of life. And yet, the government plans to dump the toxic waste at the site, which, by the way, is not only meters away from housing and planned schools, but also includes the Wyndham rail yard, which is set to open in the few months. The audacity is deafening. The Wyndham rail yard will become the workplace for so many workers, members of our community. Little Timmy Palace shows not a bone of consideration. Who in their right mind would want to pollute the future workplace of the workers and put their safety at risk? You might ask, Tim Palace. Who in their right mind would put a community through angst and suffering? Tim Palace, that's right. Where is he? Nowhere to be seen. It is every worker's fundamental right to a workplace which is safe and free from dangerous chemicals. And the government has no bloody right to take it away from us. The Rail, Tram and Bus Union, as it always has, stands ready to protect its members from this dangerous toxic dump. We are standing by this campaign and we are gonna fight it all the way. The West is littered with temporary toxic dumps. It's a shame our local MP, the Honourable Tim Pallas, who is supposed to represent us, the people who elected him in the first place, is trying to justify this in every possible way he can.
Where is he?
He claims it's only a temporary measure. You know what we said to that? Wake up, Tim! Get out of your palace! And see, the people of Wyndham are not stupid! How does it make any sense to bring 1.5 million tons of toxic soil to Wyndham and then move it to another location in a few days? Anyone could tell you that's a stupid idea, Tim. And Mr. Pallas, well, there he is. Mr. Pallas, while we appreciate you don't live in the area, but we do. Our families do. And you have no right to attack our families. Hundreds of people have gathered here today for a reason. And the reason is to send a loud and clear message to the Andrews government. The toxic soil is not welcome in Wyndham.
Thank you, Vic. I heard that Tim Pallas is getting a haircut like that. We obviously are very concerned about the impact on tourism in our region, and to address that, we have Wendy Jordan, who is the chairperson of the Werribee Business and Tourism Association. She's a member of Wyndham BizNet and the Committee for Wyndham, and is also a local business owner, Jordan Consulting Services, and she's here tonight to help us with our fight.
Hi, how is everyone going? Thank you all for staying out. It is getting a bit cold. There's only one person or two people after me, so we'll wrap it up very shortly. So Werribee Tourism and Business Association, we actually are trying to keep, Werribee, keep the people coming into Werribee and coming into the tourism precinct. So I'm going to be very quick. No toxic dump in Werribee.
Thank you, Wendy. Short but a very powerful message. It's so important that we protect our burgeoning tourism industry. Next up, we got, as Wendy said, we're getting close to the end of the night. Peter Mayall is the chairman of the Committee for Wyndham. He's a partner at Findex Accountants and business advisor in Werribee, past chairman of the Werribee Mercy Hospital Foundation, and he knows what it's like to fight for your community. Please welcome him to the stage.
Thank you and good evening. The Committee for Wyndham is absolutely opposed to this proposal by Transurban and the Westgate Tunnel project partners to use the Hobbs Road transfer facility as a temporary dumping ground. We understand that the proposal was made by Transurban, but let me remind our local member and this state government that this is a government site. They own it. They can say no. So our objection is not based merely on emotion. Our objection is economical and the social well-being of the broader Wyndham community. Hobbs Road site is only 70 metres away from existing residents and future development sites. How can such a site get EPA approval. The Hobbs Road site is only 700 metres away from the Werribee River. The Westgate Tunnel project management options, the soil management options, state that this site will have soil walled holding bays. If toxins get into the Werribee River, imagine the impact on the Werribee South farms. Those farms, as we heard Joe say, produce 85% of Victoria's cauliflower, 55% of Victoria's broccoli, and 70% of Australia's lettuce. How? As well as the farms, we have an international barramundi breeding company in Lock Avenue who chose this area because of the water. They supply 25 countries with barramundi fingerlings. It is a world-class facility. Will be destroyed by the toxins that hit the river. Again, I ask, how can this site ever get EPA approval? There's talk that there's going to be 1 million tonne of toxic dirt being transferred. Now, given that most trucks carry about 45 tonne, and the soil management document produced by Transurban says that they will be trucked in, that's 427 trucks a week, 61 trucks a day on roads that are already congested and roads that come through our community. We can't let this happen. The Committee for Wyndham calls upon the government to immediately rule out the Hobbs Road site. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more person that we really want to hear from. This is a very important person in this fight. We heard from Lisa Heinrichs before, one of the key movers and shakers for so many battles to protect our city. I call them L1 and L2. Lisa 1 and Lisa 2. Lisa Markovic is kind of mini-me to Lisa Heinrichs in a way, although she's a bit taller. And she is been a key organiser of this event tonight and this fight. So please welcome to the stage Lisa Markovic.
Hi everyone. First of all, I know it's getting cold and it's getting late and your noses are probably dripping like mine is, so I'll be quick. Thank you very much on behalf of the Wyndham community that we've got here. The message that we're giving tonight is very loud and very clear. My family have been here for 4 or 5 generations, as many of yours probably have. Some of you haven't been here very long, but you love this place just as much as we do. We've done this before and we will do it again. Every time this government tries to throw something at us, we will only come back harder and stronger. Mr. Palace, Mr. Andrews, et al., we will not go away. You cannot bully us into accepting what you continually are trying to do to us. We don't buy your lies, and we will be here fighting for as long as it takes until this comes to an end. Please respect our community that we love. We love the place that we live in. Please start respecting us and treat us the way that we deserve to be treated. We're an intelligent bunch. We know what we're talking about. We're not silly, although they insist on treating us that way. Thank you to all of our wonderful speakers tonight. I know there was a few, but we felt it was really important that you were given the facts because the government aren't giving you the facts. We've heard from experts who know what they're talking about. We all know what this is about. There is nothing temporary about this plan. As soon as that soil hits the ground here, it won't be going anywhere. And even if it does, it will leave a trail of destruction behind it, and we will not have it. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of our wonderful market gardeners who have brought the tractors down again. The support that everyone shows each other in this community is unbelievable. Thank you to all of our speakers, and especially to all of you who have come out tonight on a weeknight. You have families, you have responsibilities, but clearly this is important enough to you that you've braved the cold weather and you've made it happen. You've come together again and you should be so proud of yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marco. I hate it when a woman speaks and I've got to lower the microphone for me. It's intimidating. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our speakers for this evening. I personally want to thank you all for joining the fight, taking up arms, so to speak, to take on the Victorian government over this. Think about this. What the government is asking you to do is have a sniff of the arsenic, but then move it away. Would you do that? Thank you very much, everybody. Drive safely and on with the fight.